dusk, so start picking out some reference points you can use in the night time.
Howdy, two back now. One back now. He's looking. He's in there. He's in there. Which 12 is it on, right? 12? We're coming. Yeah, we're coming. Nobody behind him.
Hello everyone and welcome to another stream. It is time again for some GT3 racing. It's the AOR PC GT3 Elite League on Project Cars. This is Season 6, round 4 out of 8 at Oulton Park. And as you will see, as I'm about to switch out to the track, ba-bam, it's a wet one. We're gonna have some raindrops falling, and I am as usual Fizzy, here to call the action for you, and alongside me is the man, the myth, the Project Cars guy, Yorkie065.
I like how I'm a myth. But thank you very much. Welcome guys to the stream once again. Obviously here every Wednesday. This should be a good one with the rain. There's a lot of rain. It's not just a few raindrops like Fizzy alluded to. There's actually quite a bit, which is
Several
good.
raindrops.
Should spice up the action. Yeah, it should spice up the action.
It really should. It's the first wet race of the season, the first wet race we've had in a while, to be honest. The man you just saw jump back to the pits and currently nearly driving inside another car in the pit lane. That was the current championship leader, SDL Man Gator, who is holding on to provisional 3rd position in the session so far. So let's have a look at who is above him at the moment. Worth pointing out, of course, in this qualifying session that Man Gator has taken pole in all of the first 3 races of the season, but that was, of course, in the dry. He's now dropped down to 4th even, so Suomi, the race winner of round 1, is in 3rd as it stands. Charf, the race winner of last week, is in 2nd, and let's see then who's on pole, and it's Papand actually, a race winner of Monza last season. So several race winners to pick from here, and Papand so far, Yorkie, is looking the best in this session.
Okay, my times are mixed up. I've got Chaff as...
I've got Papand sitting on a 1:36.3 at the moment, Charf on a 0.5.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting a very different set of times to you then. So
Oh.
my information in this race, the usual role of pointing out who's on track, who's doing what sort of times, will be absolutely useless.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, let's see if I can fix that.
Right, that would be ideal, but yeah, hopefully my times is right, so that what you're seeing on the screen right now is the actual correct timing as it stands in the session with 6 minutes to go. It is, yeah, we're using the full Oulton Park circuit, so it's the Oulton Park International Circuit, which has, you know, the fast left-hander all the way down to the hairpin at the edge of the track. It's got both of the chicanes, both the Britain's chicane and the Hislop chicane, for those who know corner names on this circuit. Which I don't, by the way, I just looked at the track map just now. So yeah, Yorkie, obviously there's a bit of a variety of cars there. Let's have a look at the current car overview for the league. We have 7 BMW Z4s, 7 rough RGT8, 4 Genettas, 3 Aston Martins, 2 Mercedes cars and 1 McLaren. So which out of these cars, Yoki, do you think will have some kind of advantage or disadvantage in wet conditions?
I'd
That's a
say
long question.
having an advantage would be the Z4. It seems to be king of the wet. Having a disadvantage, though, quite surprisingly, is apparently the Ginetta. Apparently the Ginetta's like 2 seconds off the pace, according to
Why, in the
what
wet?
Klaassen
Wow.
said. Yeah, when I joined the lobby, and at the moment, I kind of
That's massive.
that seems about right.
Yeah, let's have a look at where the
Jim
Genetta boys are.
Beam. Yeah, I've just left the session and come back in, and Chaff.
Gronstra is the
Is
highest
still-
Genetta at the moment, 12th. So yeah, that might well be very correct information.
The Hugoslux mix in 12th. So I have no idea of the lap times at the moment. For me, the fastest time that I'm seeing in the Ginetta is Jim Beam with a 1:39.2
Yeah,
or
he's,
3.
that was the right time. He's actually, wow, there's a big gap from 12th to 13th. You got Gronstra on a 38.2 and then Jim Baum on a 39.2. So towards the bottom of the field, it's kind of spread out quite a lot, but still close at the top. My Gator's just popped himself into provisional pole, then where it's been for the first 3 rounds. He's taking a 4 tenths of a second advantage over Papand as it stands. So yeah, you said the Z4 might have an advantage in the wet, but at the moment it's a rough front row here, so clearly that's also a competitive car, and yeah, actually 4 of the top 6 at the moment, Yorkie, is the rough cars.
Yes. Well, for you it is. For me, it's not. The top 2 are roofs, but yeah, then I've got some BMWs or a BMW with chaff. But yeah, Browski saying in the chat that the roof is good in the wet as well, because obviously it's rear-engined.
Yeah.
Therefore, the weight is over the rear wheels and it gets really good traction, which is true. The Z4 is also fantastic in terms of aerodynamics in the wet as well, and is very good through the corners. Probably not as good traction-wise as the roof, but certainly still a very, very strong contender. What to say other than Oulton Park is a very interesting circuit. It's going to be really, really tough for these guys, as it's one of the few laser scan tracks that are in Project Cars 1, but also it's really quite tight. and there isn't a whole lot of room for overtaking. So couple that with the wet, it's going to make it pretty tough for these guys, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest driving challenge of the season so far. With this being the first wet race, as we saw Ginetta, I think, back there, going straight on at the second chicane. That's always interesting. Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the session here. People are presumably on pretty much their final laps. We're about to start our final laps. We are currently following Suomi around, who's dropped down to 4th. After Mangator popped himself higher up in the standings, he's got one corner left to navigate. There's a rough gun off the track ahead of him to not be of any sort of distraction. And Suomi goes up the hill, across the line in just a moment. Can he improve on his 1:36.6? Yes, he can. He would a 5/10 of a second improvement to 1:36.1, and he is happy with that time. Actually, yeah, he would never have had time. Just about would never have had time to set another lap there. Really, let's see if anyone is on the track. The top 3, top 4, top 5, top 6, top 6, all in the garage right now. So the highest on the current timing list, out on track to actually maybe improve on his time, is Enzo in the third of the Z4s in the session right now. And yeah, wow, I'm looking at the times and it's absolute. I mean, we have the cars that are most represented in the league is of course the Roughs and the BMW Z4s, but at the moment all of the top 9 is in those cars. And Gronstra, though, shout out to him in that Ginetta. He's popped himself up from 12th when we last looked at him to 10th at the moment.
Yes. I think the leaderboard is now starting to become more accurate as people are putting in their times and shuffling around a little bit. As from what I am reading and what you are saying, it sounds about right. Although Grons just dropped down into 11th place. Who was it who popped up in front of him?
Either Hideaki or Nismo, as he's now down to 12th.
Brandress.
Yeah, so Brandress up to 8th in the Mercedes.
Yeah.
As Enzo is probably
That's
the
a
last
good
now to
time
cross
in
the
the Mercedes.
line. He's gone up to 6th, he's gained 1 position as Enzo as well, dropping Mikael down to 7th. A decent qualifying for Mikael as well, it must be said. But here are the order then for the starting grid here at Oulton Park. Mangator on pole for the 4th consecutive race, but he's only managed to convert one of them into a win. And then Suomi and Papand and Charf ahead of Jeff, Enzo, Mikael, Brandress, Gibbs and Hideaki in the top 10. Nismo, Gronstra then follow. So the rest of the drivers are too far down for me to read before the time runs out, as usual. And yeah, unfortunately, again, it seems that Kaki isn't here, which makes me quite mad, because unlike the previous 2 weeks, he hasn't informed me of his absence this time. So even as a champion, I will be having a serious word if he doesn't have a very good reason for this.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see him back as well, because obviously title chances slipping away. There'll be someone coming fairly soon to come pick up that trophy and take it away from him and place it into the hands of someone else, unless we manage to scrape some money somewhere and buy a new trophy for the new champions at AOR Elite.
Do it.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that we haven't seen him, because it'll be good to see him battle out front with the likes of Mangator, Chaff, and Suomi.
We only had 10 laps of it so far this season, which was the first 10 laps of the season at Spa.
Exactly, so it'd be good to see him battle it out and see if he can still hold it with the guys. I'm sure he can, but we want to see it in person. We want to see the action, the drama.
Yeah, that is very true. So Kaki, if you're watching, get your ass back here! Thank you. Yeah, so...
Where are you?
Right, let's have a look at the driver standings going into this race after the first 3 out of 8 rounds of this season. And as mentioned earlier, it is Mangator currently at the top of the standings, but only by a small margin actually. Chav, after winning last week, picking up the scraps after Mangator and Gronstra had an incident. He pulled himself nearly up to the top, only 3 points behind Mangator as it stands. Then there's the 21 point gap down to Enzo, currently holding 3rd, ahead of Suomi, who was very, very unlucky with a ghost car at the start, apparently, that he hit, which is what caused Suomi to crash out right at the start last week in Road America. Papan follows in 5th ahead of Clausen's Nismo, Jeff, Hideaki and Brandrus. And Sola as well on equal points with Brandrus, worth pointing out. And as for the team championship, Break Ducks still at the top, but also a very small margin there as well, actually. 5 points between them and Leechers Inc. So the team of Papan, Mangator and Jeff holding on just about to the team lead ahead of Suomi and Charv. As I swear, just nearly, I thought I saw some side-by-side action here. We have a bit of a battle going on in the warm-up session at the moment between Mangator and some kind of a BMW Z4. That's always interesting. Yeah, Yorkie,
kind of.
what can we expect from this race? Obviously, we did commentate on the race here not too long ago, didn't we? In the Ginessa Esports Cup.
Yep.
Project Cars were themselves were hosting, which gave us some pretty interesting races. But obviously, that was only one car on the grid with fixed setups, and in the dry, it's going to be a different Oulton Park race here today.
Yep, obviously it's going to be wet, so a lot of standing water, fair amount of spray. I can still hear the rain falling. I can't see it behind the actual menu at the moment, but a lot of spray with the cars. Obviously, not much room to manoeuvre outside of that either, as the track is pretty narrow and some quite twisty, tight technical sections. So it's certainly going to be a tough one, and certainly a track that is going to reward patience from drivers and someone who can enforce a good strategy and make it work. I think strategy could possibly be a potential here, but we're on the wet tyres, of course, which tend to be more durable than the dry tyres. So they should be able to go zero stopper, providing that the weather doesn't change.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the action. As mentioned earlier, the biggest challenge for the drivers is going to be themselves, I think. Just keeping the car on the track here, keeping concentrated through the spray, and also keeping out of trouble with the other cars around them. Hopefully we'll get underway shortly, as we have had about 5 minutes of warm. We're just going to check that every driver is in the session. 19 drivers here. I think that's what we started with as well. I know that Dindas is missing, and Nova is also missing. Those have actually informed me, so the 2 other BAM guys have actually informed me of their absence, unlike Kaki. But yeah, here we are on the grid then. And we are about to go green here! And there's no cars moving. As usual, we're gonna have a manual rolling start. And Yorkie, remember that you will need to stay on the grid, because you'll be given the task to check for ghost cars, basically.
Yes.
Just in case any show up and try to ruin the start, like they did last week for Suomi and a few other cars.
Correct.
So when all the cars have moved away from the grid, you shall be rolling around to see if you can see anything that shouldn't be there.
Yep, we'll be doing a little bit of a sweep
Yeah,
back and forth across the track to see if there's anything here. I'm not going to be able to slow it back.
it had to be
and forth, so I
relatively
have to go
quick
down
as
one
well,
side.
of course, because these guys aren't the slowest on their formation lap. Mangator leading the field. Now down to the hairpin of turn number 5, I believe. Shell Oil's corner, apparently. Yeah. So you can see all the cars coming through. Lovely field of drivers. Pretty dark as well, of course, with this massive rain cloud over the track. So, yeah, pretty sure all the cars have turned on their headlights, which actually I think that's even in the rules, so they must turn on their headlights for these conditions. To not only make it easier for themselves to see things ahead of them, but makes it easier for cars ahead to see them in the mirror as well. A bit of an extra safety measure there. As they come through the Hislop chicane now. It's only a few corners. Have you found anything, Yoki?
No, I haven't, so I'm going to tell the guys now.
Alright, that's good. Alright. So the main straight should be clear for any unwelcome guests. which means that Mangator is ready to lead the field away in just a moment's time. The cars are now at the formation point, which means they are lining up into 2x2 formation. Mangator ahead of Suomi on the front row, Papan and Sharf following directly behind. You can see the grid here. But now it's only the climb up the hill as Suomi's off the track! Why is Suomi off the track? Not again!
Possible issue.
That's a definite
That's the
issue.
only reason why I think he's pulled to one side, but that has put a massive, great big hole in front of who was it? Chaff.
Chaff, yeah, it's gone up into second. Well, he's kept hold of second ahead of Papan there, just about. A bit of side by side at the start. Jeff getting close as well. Of course, all of these guys promoted the position now because of Suomi mysteriously pulling off to the side. Brandrus in 6th position. I swear then that he has potentially gained a couple from where he started. Mikael in 7th. Yeah, I think Brandrus has passed Mikael actually. And Hideaki getting very close to the back of the roof of Mikael, getting a bit squirmy there through the high-speed left-hander as well. But so far there doesn't seem to be any sort of incidents as I say that. Yeah, what's going on there? Gronster's off the track. Oh!
Yeah, Jim Boone as well. He was also very slow there. Potential slowdown penalty. I did check back on Suomi as well, who haven't seemed to have got running. He's retired to the pits, so he must have had an issue. That's the only reason why I think he's pulled off to the side. Mr. Arcon's dropped way back as well. I think he may have had a contact somewhere along the line, but at the moment it seems to be a Mangator in the roof. He's popped out a couple of car lengths to Shaft behind, who seems to be dropping Papand, Jeff, and then Enzo in 5th position as Brandrus goes out wide, and so does another roof of Mikael behind. Hopefully the rejoin is relatively safe between these guys, and there's no contact.
Oh my goodness, there's nearly 3 wide there for a moment.
There was a little bit of argy and bargy as Brandrus is trying to come back onto the track, and cars are going left, right and centre trying to avoid him and go around to slot up positions, but that's cost Brandrus quite badly as well. He's now dropped down into 10th position. Hopefully any damage picked up by anybody isn't too severe. Hideaki at the moment following his teammate and a teammate sandwich as well, with Gibbs in front of him in 7th place chasing down Macau, and then we got Nismo in 9th place, the 3 of them there in the Z4, and then Gronstra in 11th place with his teammate E. Claessens in 12th.
Yep, top 2 have started to pull a bit of a gap. You'd assume that without whatever issues Suomi had, he would be sort of in the middle of these two, which is where he started. But Mangator going quite heavy on that curve. I don't know if that is how you're meant to do that corner, because I haven't driven this track in the wet, so in the GT3 car, I must admit. But Mangator holding on well to the lead at the moment through the Hislop chicane, ahead of Charf, Papand, second or so behind, then Jeff ahead of Enzo, very close contention between those two. Mikael in 6th position, holding up quite a bit of the train. Gibbs and Hideaki just following him, and yeah, it was those two. It was one of those two on the previous lap, I think, who were briefly on the grass, going down towards the penultimate corner. But yeah, luckily they managed to keep control of the car without any major dramas happening. Hideaki now coming under pressure from Nismo, one of his teammates.
Yeah, Hideaki was having a little bit of a look. He's getting very close to the back of Gibbs there. Managed to avoid making contact with him, a little bit of a squirm. This is rejoining the track and trying to get traction back down. He has only lost 1 position to his teammate. That was Nismo behind. But now Brandrus is right up on the back of his Z4. I was just saying, yeah, Hideaki lost the momentum whilst there. Oh, there's someone spinning in the background. That's Sula. Spun off at the exit of turn 1. He's managed to avoid making contact with the wall. He's rejoining the track now, but that's dropped him down quite a few positions, down into 17th. Mr. Alcon is the only driver behind him.
Hetarion is also off the track on the next corner in the Mercedes. So he's also had an issue off camera there, and he's going to nearly drop back towards where Sula ended up. So of course, in these conditions, we haven't seen too many individual mistakes really. We've seen a few mistakes and stuff in close wheel-to-wheel battles, but we haven't seen too many cases of drivers really dropping it by themselves so far this season, as far as I can remember. But of course, these conditions will make it much more likely that mistakes from just normal driving errors will happen.
Yep, definitely. Obviously the wet make it just that a little bit more difficult, and also with the curbs as well.
Spray in
quite
their
aggressive.
face.
Yeah, and then you got the spray, reduced visibility as well. It all just adds up slightly, and although the conditions may not seem too difficult, it's over the course of an hour-long race. Obviously, you got to keep the concentration levels up high, pretty much the entire length of the race, and that is can be quite the challenge. As obviously you need a lot of mental endurance. But I did see Gibbs earlier having a little bit of a look at Macau, and is getting relatively close again. I think Gibbs is looking to try and get past that roof in front of him and see if you can fill that rather large gap that is building between 5th and 6th position.
Yeah, I had a brief look up to the leaders as well. And Gator still a similar gap down to Charf by like half a second or so. They were lapping a car which I think was Mr. Alcon, who you said dropped way back earlier, so he's probably been in the pits, I guess, to fix some damage potentially.
Yep. He's just got out of the way of the train of 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Oh,
Who's let those go nicely.
as Gibbs nearly dropped it onto the grass, and that's going to put him very much under pressure from Nismo behind, but luckily for him there was a chicane there, so Nismo didn't have a longer straight to really take advantage of that, and Gibbs holds on to it, but yeah, this was a clear oversteer moment for him, and you've got to be careful to not have too many of those. Mikhail getting slightly out of shape through the chicane there, I think, and Nismo still all over the back of Gibbs, who rides the curb on the outside, but despite that, Nismo seemed to get a better run out of the corner there. But this is so tricky to find a place to overtake here, unless the driver ahead makes a mistake, really, because the straights aren't too long and the corners are very, very tight. And actually now it was Nismo's turn to have a very slight moment of oversteer, and that's given Gibbs a little bit of breathing space again.
Yeah, as the second time as well, I've actually seen Nismo take a tighter line on the exit. He was staying off the actual racing line, which could provide him with slightly better traction coming out of the corner. So it'll be interesting to see if he'll do that a third time on this lap now that they're on, and see if that line will actually end up working out for him at some point along the line. As obviously there is more grip off the racing line. It's just you're off the shortest route around the circuit, therefore it's that balance. You'll find the extra traction, but you'll be driving a longer route around the circuit, and therefore you kind of lose time that way as well.
Yeah. Looking at the battle for 3rd position, Papand very much under pressure at the moment from Enzo in that Z4. So it's a Rough versus Z4 battle for the lead at the moment, with Charf trying to keep up with Mangator over there, and then we have a Roof versus Z4 battle also for 3rd position. So these are the two cars most seen on the grid for this season. Papan, did he get out of shape there? No, he probably just took a slightly unusual, just a quick turn over to the right side of the track on the exit. What do you think?
Gibbs has lost the car a little bit through the chicane and has dropped back even further from Mikhail Hideaki.
Oh yeah, it's a big gap.
Is now now closed up onto the back of Gibbs after that mistake. So car's getting a little bit tricky to control. Possibly some overheating starting to settle in with a couple of the guys.
Hideaki's gone past Nismo in that case, because Nismo's the guy who challenged Gibbs before, so it's been a mistake and or overtake happening there, and Nismo trying to get the position back though. Will he get a run down into the first corner? It's not too much of a braking zone down here, but yeah, so Hideaki holds on. We're pointing out, of course, that Hideaki is one of the only, if not the only, driver currently in the league driving with a pad. I can't imagine the struggles he is having, not only with the decisions, but with the controller input as well, making it, as a wheel driver myself, even more difficult, so the way I think about it. As the battle for 3rd is still very close. I thought I saw a little side-by-side moment in the distance, but I think Papand has got Enzo covered for the moment. Of course, the Z4, as we know, not the best on the straight, but you'd assume that all of these guys, in terms of what setup they've chosen for this race, will have gone with quite high downforce on their cars, meaning that straight line speed will be sacrificed either way.
But Never mind. Lap driver.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, yes, there was.
Yes, it's
yeah,
a lap driver.
yeah.
It's Mr. it's Mr. Alcon.
Poor
He was
Mr. Alcon,
unfortunately-
man. We're
Yeah,
only on
it's-
lap 6 and he's basically lapped by the whole field at the moment. That's, of course, that is kind of what happens if you have to go in the pits for damage repairs that early on, and with the, a relatively short lap as well. You may be sitting in the pits for a minute, and that's basically you losing a lap almost. So yeah, unfortunate start to the race for Mr. Alcon, of course. All the drivers down to 16th place, scoring points though. So he might get rewarded in the end by just staying in there and just trying to finish, enough of a distance over the race to be classified for points. And then you wouldn't bet against him being in the top 16 at the end, because currently it's only 17. And yeah, there's definitely going to be a few more. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a few more mistakes happening as Papan is defending the inside line into the hairpin from Enzo. That is the closest he has been so far this race. Papan keeping his head cool there and holding on here.
Yeah, we're a little like he was carrying a little bit too much speed and had to stay on the brakes a little bit coming into the second part of that chicane. However, he did manage to get it slowed down, but that could compromise his exit a little bit. But with the traction of the roof and the slightly better straight line speed, would have benefited more than the Z4. That's following very, very closely behind him. In some ways, almost a little bit too close, as it could potentially lead to contact if Papan does have a mistake and starts to lose the car. Obviously, it gives him less time to avoid the spinning car in front. So, an awful lot of trust between these two guys at the moment, and then Jeff there as well in 5th place. He isn't too far back from these two guys either.
Yeah, it's definitely closing in when they're battling.
Yeah, he is, especially as these two are starting to get a little bit closer and try and push each other a little bit harder. We saw Papan there in the final turn missing the apex. He's managed to hook up the apex on the inside of turn 1 though, and all the drivers being very neat and tidy and not using the grasscrete on the exit there. But it was here that Enzo got the good run coming out the exit of the corner and down into the next very fast left-hander, and of course into the braking zone of the hairpin.
Yeah, both this corner and the previous one are corners where you'd think that the Z4 are really, really good, because it's sort of the high-speed downforce corners that it tends to excel in, at least in the dry. Papan is doing well at the moment. Yeah, Papan, of course, no beginner when it comes to having really close battles in the wet. I seem to remember, well, surely we had a wet race since then, but I think it was season 4, Imola, when I think Papan and Tony R had a really good battle for second. Can't remember who ended up winning that in the end, but I just remember that both of them raced pretty damn well. And very close.
I believe it was Tony who won out on that one.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, Papan will definitely be looking to win that one, this one, then instead. But yeah, he's definitely got some experience of, intense battles in these sort of conditions. Enzo might have that as well, for all we know, of course. Yes, at the moment, to be honest, Enzo is looking probably just about like the fastest driver, as he got so close through the final corner there. But yeah, it's no easy task to overtake here, especially when you got an experienced driver like Papan ahead of you. You're really just sitting there, just hoping he'll put a foot slightly wrong somewhere, so that he can get another run like he did a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, definitely. And guys are looking very, very smooth at the moment. Jeff behind is looking a little bit more ragged out of the 3. He did run wide on the exit of turn 1 for the second lap in a row that I noticed. And Papan going out very wide there once again. And Enzo looking very, very close. Let's have a very quick look back further down the field. Obviously, Macau has dropped Gibbs, and the battle with Hideaki and Nismo a little bit more. Gronstra is now up into 10th place, which means that Brandress has dropped down into 11th, and just picking that up now to confirm that as well. And then Boom Boom in 12th place, and Corey, then Sluxmick, Atharion, and then Mr. Alcon down in 16th place. Dula is in the pits. He's retired.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I noticed before that Sula was even behind Mr. Alcon. Considering the race Alcon is having, so Alcon's now into the points actually in 16th because we've lost another driver. We lost Claessens, I think, because he's now appearing in the chat, saying that Ginetta is not drivable in the rain, apparently. So
Yeah, I'm reading that as well.
with
Tire
that in
pressure's on
mind, I'd say
2.5.
Gronster is probably doing a pretty good job to be in 10th right now.
Yep. Must have a pretty careful right foot. And Enzo's still looking pretty close to the back of Papa, and in front of him, battle for third position. Just jumping up to the two leaders. Mangator is pulling away a little bit more from Chaff behind. And it's interesting watching this battle for third, seeing if it is closing up or two. It does seem to be in places, but it could just be the Constantina effect of the braking zones and going through corners and the like.
Yeah. What I'm gonna try and figure out is what on earth happened to Suomi. And like Claessens, though, he has not appeared in the chat. I might actually just send him a message to ask what happened.
Where are you? Yeah, you could do that.
There we go. Hopefully we can get a response and a bit of a clarification from Suomi. Unfortunately, his race has ended for the second race running at the start of the race. After qualifying in second, of course, he was the closest challenger based on qualifying pace to Mangator in this race. But at the moment, Mangator is running away a little bit from Charf. We've been interested to see now on their previous lap time. Mangator's done at 137.9. Charf has done at 137.908, so he was 8 thousandths of a second slower. So that's an incredibly close pace actually between the top two, but obviously it's only 8 thousandths, but Mangator is not letting himself be caught at the moment. So it looks like his head has under control, but we did see in Spa in the dry that Mangator is not one. Well, he can, even he, with that pace, he can make mistakes. So we're not going to rule out a battle for the lead just yet.
And nope, still got quite a long way to go with 30 odd laps. So be interesting to see how the battle develops over the course of the race. Watching still the battle for fourth. I'm going to drop that down. Gibbs is still holding off Hideaki. They've dropped Nismo a little bit by a few car lengths, and Hideaki's got some damage to the front of his car.
Oh, yeah.
By the looks of it. Is there any damage to the back of Gibbs's? I can't see any.
Has he been a bit naughty and a bit getting a bit
at
close?
the moment?
No, I
He
can't see
may
any.
have. Jump on the bumper cam and we'll watch him come down into the next chicanes. There was a scuff on the inside of that previous one on the tyre stack, whereas there isn't one on that one. So I'm wondering if. Is there one on this one?
These
No,
are
there
very
isn't one on that
in-depth
one.
analysis here.
Yes, it is. So, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, I think Hideaki has had a slight collision with one of the tyre stacks in the chicanes to therefore give him the damage.
Right. Okay, that's a good theory. I'm not gonna challenge you on that one. That's probably the most the closest we'll get to an answer without actually knowing the answer for sure. But yeah, you could well be right, Mr. Yorkie.
Yeah, we'll have to interview him after
Yeah.
the race.
Maybe. Yeah, either way, that damage on the front, of course, isn't going to help him. We don't quite know how much it's going to hurt him. It's not that big of a dent, but of course, any little damage is unwanted. As he is running very close to the edge of the track, I thought he entered with a bit too much speed there, but he just managed to slow it down in a time, wheeling the car out of the corner as well, and down into turn number 5 they go.
He's just
and yeah,
carrying the speed.
he's just
Carry the speed through the corner, yeah. He was
That's
knocking
what
the
you need to
inside
do to
wheels
keep
as
up with
well.
Gibbs, apparently.
What, carry the speed through the corner?
Yeah. Carry lots of speed through
To be
the corner.
fair, as Browski said in the chat earlier, fair play to Gibbs. He
Yeah,
has upped his game the last season or so. Browski is right on that one. He has come on leaps and bounds since when did he start in AOR? But yeah, he's gone a lot quicker. Ooh, as
Gibbs been around for quite a while.
Yeah, Nismo in the background there, running a little bit deep.
Oh!
Gibbs running out wide.
Was very slow on the exit, it looked like.
Yeah,
and that's
we're
brought
talking
them right
highly
back
of
together
him.
again.
Talking too highly of him. Clearly. he's being put off by it.
He's clearly listening to the stream or something at the same time. So he's watching on a delay, of course. So 20 seconds after we complimented him is when he would have heard it, and that's when he went off. So, yeah.
Ooh,
That's another theory. That
Nismo running very, very deep there in the braking zone.
Yeah.
He has rejoined on the track without losing any positions, but he's lost some more ground to his teammate of Hideaki in front of him. He's taking a tighter line than Gibbs is into the first turn. It'll be interesting to see how much, if at all, he has closed up from that.
Yeah. But pointing out Gronstra in 10th in that horrendous Ginetta apparently is not too far behind these guys. Let's have a look on the lap times. Yeah, he was closing in on all of those 3 Z4s ahead on the previous lap. He did the 139.1, whereas Hideaki was the fastest of that trio with a 139.7, the other two with a 140 flat. So Gronstra could potentially be looking to get himself involved in the Z4 battle over there. He was having a quick peek through the field. Brandress was in 11th there, and Jim Baum very close with Curry actually in the battle for 12th position. That's another Ginetta ahead of a McLaren, the only McLaren left in the league after Tomasi unfortunately had to pull out due to lack of time on Wednesdays.
Oh, here we go.
Where do we go?
Could be Hideaki getting up alongside Gibbs. Gibbs, I think, ran a little bit deep going through the chicane, and Hideaki just took the better line. Although Hideaki got on the grass there, that could cost him in this corner.
Again, I thought it was going off the track.
Yeah, he's just about managed to keep it on the track between the white lines. There is a tiny little bit of grasscrete out where he did run wide, so I think he may have just about picked that up and avoid dipping the wheel onto the actual grass where he would have had no grip. With grasscrete, you would have some, obviously reduced from actual track surface, but still enough to make it around the corner.
Yeah, worth putting on Jim Baum. We saw him close ahead of Curry before Brownski pointed out in the chat that he had a 150 on his lap time on the last one, so he's definitely made a mistake, which is why they were suddenly so close together. Yeah, he's still going, which is the main thing, really. If you can finish this race, I think, yeah, well, as it stands actually, as long as you finish, you will get at least a point, because Mr. Alcon's been lapped and is currently on course for that one final point position in the race. With, of course, already 3 drivers, I believe, having dropped out. Sula, Claessens and Suomi, unfortunate. Start the races. We got a side-by-side, we have got a pass even! That was Nismo going straight past Hideaki down the straight. So yeah, Hideaki must have just got a really poor exit out of the chicane, Yorkie.
Possibly. I didn't see it. I dropped further down the field to see what was happening.
I didn't understand how Nismo got that overspeed all of a sudden. But yeah.
Hideaki may have let him go, possibly thinking that
our teammate
Nismo is quicker, so let him through. Yeah. Although there's 4 of them were using the same Z4.
Gibbs isn't technically in their team.
Delivery. Aha.
It is Nismo. That's Team Kappa with the Nismo, Hideaki and Enzo, the man in 4th right now. They're in the team, and Gibbs has just gone with a similar livery for some reason. So maybe he wishes to be part of the team, but you could only have 3 drivers per team, as it stands.
Okay, explains some things then. But oh yeah, because Gibbs joined part of the way season, he didn't sign up for at the very start.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Jeff has closed up a little bit onto the back of Enzo in front of him, who did drop back from Papan just a tiny bit. I say this now, it looks like Enzo is closed back up towards Papan and Jeff has dropped further back. I checked about like around this point and a lap ago, and Jeff was within a couple of car lengths of Nismo. Similar sort of distance between, and sorry, I keep saying Nismo now. Yeah. Between Enzo and Papad.
easy to get confused with the names sometimes. But yeah, Enzo still looking at the back of Papan. I have a feeling he'll be looking at that back for quite a while because, yeah, as mentioned, Papan's been in this situation before, and unless he makes a mistake, it's going to be super hard for Enzo to find a way through, especially considering that they both seem very, very close in pace as well. Although saying that, Enzo did close, yeah, you were definitely right that Papan were further ahead before, because Enzo just closed up 6/10 actually on the previous lap. He's used that lap to get himself back very close again. And
Dinders is here. Or here, as in the chat.
oh yeah, he was ill apparently. I mean, he still hasn't done a race this season, so I can't remember what his reasoning for missing the first 3 races was, but this time he said he was ill, so we hope, of course, that he get well soon. Same goes for Nova, who's the other man who had told me he was missing. He was also out with some kind of illness, which I can relate to, considering how I was feeling last week, for those who remember that. But yeah, feeling better now, and enjoying watching the cars kick up some spray. Oh! Papan's on the grass! Papan's on the grass! Can't Enzo take advantage on the outside of the exit of the triple chicane? He cannot! Oh, it's so close to getting ahead of him finally after looking at the back of that ref for so long. Papan did make the mistake, but Enzo was just too far back to get ahead.
I had missed what had happened, but I did just about manage to pick up Papan off the racing line coming out of that corner, and obviously with the traction from the roof as well, being off the racing line, he may have just had a slight grip advantage when you got things straight and put the power down to just about hold on to the position from Enzo in front. I was also going to say we have lost a Nismo. Nismo has dropped from the race, and that's put Mr. Alcon up into 15th place for 2 points. So everyone's going to be scoring at least 2 points or more in this session, but that's pretty unfortunate to lose one of the 3 Z4s that were battling away for 7th position.
Oh yeah, it's a big shame. So another one bites the dust in the race. We've got 15 runners remaining then out on track right now. Just to follow up on the illness topic, that was apparently also the reason Suomi is out of the race, because he, at the end of that formation lap, thought he was going to be sick and had to run away from his car. So that's the reason for that. Very bad timing, you have to say.
Yeah, good on him though for trying to brave it out.
Yeah,
obviously unfortunate that it came at that sort of time. He could have done a Mark Webber and threw off inside his helmet.
His helmet, yeah. I'm sure he was sitting there with his helmet and getting the full-on immersion.
Yeah, felt too good from that, and driving what would have been over an hour's worth, just over an hour's worth of racing with sick on your lap. Yeah, let's change the subject.
Yeah.
People don't.
It's probably not what
well
people would have tuned in for on a lovely Wednesday evening to watch us talking about people being sick in their helmets.
Indeed. Yeah, but Jeff is closing up on the back of the 2 guys in front of him as well. How much time did he take out of them on that lap? Nothing.
Oh. So you just disproved your statement.
It just looks like he's closed up on the 2 guys. I mean, visually the gap is closer.
Yeah, to be fair.
So yeah, the 3-way fight for 3rd position is potentially starting to heat up.
All right. So, yeah, Enzo still sitting at the back, hoping for Papan to make another mistake soon. Let's have a look at the top 2. We got Sharf going through the Hislop chicane. We got Mangazer coming out of the Hislop chicane. And they have got a Mercedes between them. So that would be Tharion, who's just been lapped for the first time in the race. So, at least he's on course for 3 points as it stands. Mr. Alcon still going, which is good to see, despite having been in the pits very early for damage, been lapped by basically everyone, nearly everyone, in the field at the moment. But he's still going, which is good to see. Papan holding on ahead of Enzo. Jeff going strong. Mikal basically by himself now, having pulled away from the Z4s. And Gibbs and Hideaki now in a two-way scrap. With Nismo having unfortunately disappeared. Gronstra promoted to 9th as a result of that, and Brandress now into the top 10. Jim Baum hasn't pulled away from Curry really, after falling back into his clutches with his mistake earlier on. Slugsmik is then the final man, still out on track in a 13th position. But yeah, definitely the closest battle on the track right now is still that one for 3rd place.
Indeed. Okay, no, never mind. There's the game just being weird and showing that Mr. Alcon was in 14th, but he's not. He's actually in 15th place, so I thought someone else may have potentially dropped. But it was just the leaderboard positioning being momentarily weird. But yeah, this battle for 3rd is probably the one to watch for the moment. Considering how close these guys are at the moment, it's still going on lap by lap, but Papan looks to be quite slow there.
Yeah.
Through the middle, yeah, and Enzo behind him, looking to be closing up. Papan maybe going slightly defensive on the run down, but was
I
able
think
to...
he thought about it. He pulled sort of to the right, like in the middle of the straight, but then went back to the racing line as he realised that probably that Enzo just wasn't going to be close enough.
Yeah. He's, I think Enzo may have had the initial drive out of the corner, but well, obviously once the roof got up to speed, it started to stretch its legs a little bit more over the Z4 and started to pull that gap lightly to allow him to slot back in front. So things are still the way they were before. The Papan seems to be going relatively consistently. Pretty poorly through that corner. Has actually got Enzo on his outside now as they come on the run down towards turn 1. Enzo, there's a little bit of contact though between the two sticky cars. They both managed to break away from that though, but that's brought Jeff right up onto the back of Enzo now, and this is a very, very tight three-way fight. Jeff having a little bit of a look down the inside of Enzo coming into the long left-hander there, but for the moment the positions stay as they are after that very slight tap coming into turn 1.
Must be so frustrating for Enzo to not be able to get ahead. He's had two really, really clear-cut opportunities, but both of them Papan has defended well after initially having a bad exit out of a corner. So Enzo still in 4th position and will be looking to get himself into 3rd for what would be his 2nd podium of the season. Papan also looking for his 2nd podium of the season, and I guess sort of a pretty close championship fight as well. Between those two. It's only 15 points separating Enzo in 3rd and Papan in 5th in the standings going into this. They were split by Suomi, but of course with his being sick and not scoring any points again today, Papan is definitely, if he finishes here, going to move himself at least up to 4th, unless something really bad happens to Enzo that drops him down the field. But Enzo is not looking down the field and thinking about the drivers behind him at the moment. Well, he's probably thinking a little bit about Jeff in his mirrors, but he's mainly surely thinking about Papan ahead and trying to get that position. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one to pull off. Yep.
I'm wondering if Papan is asking if Jeff can try and push a little bit and see if he can hustle Enzo in front of him and try and slot his roof in front to give Papan a little bit of breathing space, acting as a rear gunner, but at the moment, Enzo running out a little bit wide there, out onto the curve. That may cost him a slight bit of traction coming down this straight, and Jeff is actually looking relatively close, but certainly not close enough to have a look into that fast left-hander there. And he backed out a little bit as well, just to make sure that he didn't slide into the back of his car. Let's take a very quick look back. But as to see, Gibbs is on the grass and rejoining behind Hideaki, who's managed to get in front. Not too sure what happened to Gibbs. He must have been totally on his own in doing so. I don't think he ran too far out onto the grass on the exit out wide there, but obviously far enough to cost him the time and the position. He's now dropped down into 8th place. Hideaki now up into 7th. Rundstrat is looking pretty close, lurking there in 9th place in the top running Ginetta.
Yeah. And the only running, no, not the only running, we still have Jim Boom, but at least for instance the only running in his team. that consists of him, Sula, and Clausens. Those two have dropped out. So yeah, he's now eyeing the prey that is Gibbs right now, having made that mistake. But he's still going in a solid position again. He finished. Yeah, he finished 8th in Road America as well, didn't he, Gibbs? So he's on course for the same position here. Despite it being a very different track and very different conditions, he's staying consistent in terms of results if he can keep hold of this one. And Hideaki, with that pad, is looking a little bit squirmy out of the final corner there, but
so was Gibbs. I think Gibbs ran out a little bit wider there and was
Gronstra is getting closer.
Exit curb. Yeah. Where is Gronstra in the drivers' standings? Is he in?
Well, obviously Gronstra
16th?
finished a runner-up in the league last season. This season he's not had that good. Well, he's actually had a pretty horrendous start to the season. Of course, he didn't finish the first round at Spa. He then finished 17th in Bathurst after issues with various walls, I believe. And then, of course, he was battling for the lead last time out in Road America, but after that incident with Mangator and nearly pulling off a magnificent comeback drive, but he sort of blew it a little bit at the end and ended up in 10th in that. So he's only in 17th in the standings, which is obviously way slower than what his pace would have put him normally. But well, you got to finish in those positions. That's what counts.
Yes. Jeff has done something.
Oh no, he's done
the
something.
Previous lap.
Oh, what's he
Yeah,
done,
he's now,
Jeff?
he's now
What are
in
you
sixth
done?
position.
He doesn't even have a lap timed for the previous lap. What's happened there? Has he pitted? Yeah, he might have pitted, to be fair, actually. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we haven't really spoken about this too much. You mentioned it briefly in the warm-up that the you didn't think the wet tires would wear out to the extent that that needs a pit, but you never know. Fresh tires in conditions like this surely will be beneficial. Question, of course, will be if he can make the time up again.
Yep. Sorry, I was chuckling there because I'm reading the chat. And apparently the chat spotted this absolutely ages ago, and we've taken absolutely ages to pick up on it. Of course, they've got the overlay standing, so they can
Yeah, we
see
don't have the overlay,
near
guys.
enough.
Please excuse us.
Yeah, we don't have that. We
It's
can't
only on
see
the
it,
stream.
so yeah, we have no idea until we actually pick up the actual camera action and see it there and then. So apologies for missing that. I'm guessing, judging by the chat's reaction, he has not made a pit stop.
Pitted, yeah.
No. So
Yeah.
that's that sucks. As Jeff was looking pretty promising to battle for third position as well.
Yeah, they are still very close. And yeah, I guess just on the pit stop thing, that we haven't seen anyone pit then at this point in the race, so I assume we aren't going to see any pit stop on the tires. Well, they're making the determination that the tires are in a good enough state and that fresh tires aren't going to allow them to get that time back in the time that is left. 18 laps out of the 42 remaining as it stands, and for basically all of those, Enzo has been staring at the back of the roof of Papan without being able to get through, despite being very close on a couple of occasions. And I assume that's going to be a back marker that I saw just with some red lights in the distance for these guys.
There's a Mercedes.
So
yes.
that would be Hetarion then. Yeah, he's in the hairpin there at the moment, where Papan Enzo is coming through now. So Yorkie, it's still very much Enzo battling with his own patience. Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's how these races go sometimes, and it can be pretty much as challenging as anything else you do in the car.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously you're desperate to try and get past, but at the same time you don't want to throw away what the current situation is. Although he's got quite a nice line through there, and I was wondering if he was going to be able to get a little bit of a switchback on Papan in front of him. However, I wasn't quite able to pull that off. But yeah, it does kind of get pretty dry and boring looking and staring at the car in front of you and counting the number of raindrops on their rear bumper. But yeah, it is very much about keeping a level head and trying not to rush things too much, and keep trying to analyze and keep yourself there, keep the pressure up to try and force the guy in front to make a mistake, especially when you've got traffic coming up in front as well. That could possibly play a part, and you basically just got to try and think possibly either a few laps ahead for this kind of situation, or think a few corners ahead when you know that you may have a pretty decent run. You know you're going to be stronger, and if you can potentially try and force an error or force a move on the guy in front to try and take that position. Although the back markers are being a little bit slow to move out of Papan's way.
Yeah, you can see he's really flashing the lights, and he's still not moving out of the way through the chicane here. So far in the race, the back markers have been very well behaved, but a Curry there we go, he finally moves out of the way, but that has allowed Enzo to get a little bit of a run, maybe, but not quite, into the chicane. Papan probably slightly frustrated, but he hasn't really lost too much as a result of... obviously, you got to feel for Curry as well, in the sense that he's trying to keep up with the Jim Baum. He's not too far ahead, and the next car that these guys will be coming up to. And that is still, of course, with how few cars we've got left in the session right now. This is all still 4 points in the championship. But of course, you got to respect the blue flags when they happen, and he did that just about on time, I think.
What? Oh, God's just gone off the track. Oh, he's made contact with the wall as well in turn 3.
Oh!
I was having a look to see where Jim Baum was, and I clicked on Gronstra just for the sake of clicking on someone to watch, and I just happened to pick him losing the rear end of the car. He's taking his time to rejoin the circuit. It seems he's got a fair amount of damage on the front of his car, but he's now dropped down into 14th place. Not sure if this is...
Got a whole lap to do pretty much as well, if he's going to get to the pits.
Well, there's an accelerator there somewhere. Go, go, go. This has now got... Oh, that's Jeff coming up behind him.
And he's spun it again, and there's some more damage. Just
you feel so
finish
hopeless.
The job.
Yeah, you feel so hopeless in those... there goes...
Yeah.
There's a tyre back to the pits. But yeah, I was going to say, you feel so hopeless in those kind of situations where you have no grip, and then you just have the most pathetic, like, slow speed half spin.
Yeah.
And
I've been there.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have. What? I heard a clunk.
Not a clunk. We can't afford to lose more drivers.
I think it might have been someone hitting.
Oh, Chaff getting super hard on the curve on the penultimate, on the final corner there. Really, it looked like he was going to lose it nearly, but he's kept hold of it. He's dropped way behind Mangator now, it must be said. He's probably more than 10 seconds behind, or around 10 seconds behind.
It wasn't on the previous lap, but Papan is getting very much pressurized by Enzo. They now managed to clear Hethorian behind him. Corey's now actually battling with Hethorian. He's dropped back from Jim Baum that you mentioned earlier. Sorry, I think Corey may have pitted, as we just saw Slux Mix as well, I believe, in the background in the pits.
Yeah,
whilst I was watching.
I did see some
Papan.
kind of movement in the pits.
Yeah, so I believe he's now going in to make a stop. How many laps? They're 28 out of 42, of about 14-15 laps left to go. So, I don't know, it could be people who are struggling with the tyres are now starting to make some pit stops to see if they can potentially gain a position or two from the guys around him. Because again, Papan looks really, really slow going through the middle part of that chicane.
Yeah, I'm going to ride on board actually with the front bumper of Enzo for a lap. It'd be interesting to see sort of what sections of the track he gains on Papan and what sections Papan is able to pull away. And you can see he's keeping up nicely through the triple apex chicane here. And then on the exit, yeah, still pretty much close to him, but obviously you need to be much closer, especially in these conditions on this track, to make any sort of challenge for Nova's sake. Papan slightly off the apex here, through the double past double right-hander. The guess a decent exit as a result of that wide entry. And now into the penultimate corner as well. So staying very close together, but taking pretty much the same line there. So is able to be quite comfortably head into turn 1, and then you see quite a bit of the curve, both of them, on the exit. Down the hill again into turn 2. Should be a good corner for the Z4. Going to stay in the slipstream, and of course the spray will feel even worse for Enzo inside that cockpit, where he's having the window wipers, luckily for him, to clear some of that away. Papan with a slightly defensive line into the hairpin here. Can Enzo take advantage on that and get a better exit with a wider entry? No, he cannot, as they now get past Mr. Alcon, who is 2 laps down now, I believe, in the race. But still sticking at it to get a couple of positions, a couple of points at the end of it. And there we go, that's a lap on board with Enzo. And we are basically at the exact same gap as we were when he started.
Yep, still just riding on board with him. Papan looked to be... It could be just the camera angle going through that, the first of those 2 chicanes, but Papan looked to be a lot tidier through that time. I managed to carry the speed through. Let's go hunting for some other battles. Macau isn't too far back from Enzo. Papan in front of him, obviously Jeff's a little bit further. Hideaki is now pulled away. Gibbs has just gone and spun off in the chicane in the background as I was picking up Branderous.
Oh, there he is. Oh,
yep, he's now getting back on the track somewhere in the camera shot. There we go. Picking him up as he accelerates up, but that's going to cost him an absolute ton of time. Obviously, with that, looks like he's got some damage to the front, but Jim Baum is quite far back, so he should be okay. Should Gibbs be there?
It's sort of a race of attrition at the moment, really. It's been quite a few drivers dropping out, and we've seen people make mistakes as well, but most of the guys in the top end, you know, the guys who have stayed towards the front of the field are the guys who haven't really made any notable mistakes so far.
So far, being the key word.
Yeah. Still 13 laps to do.
Oh, picking up Enzo and Papan again. Enzo was looking to the outside of Papan, going around the hairpin. Having a little bit of a look down the inside, coming into this chicane. However, as pretty much every single occasion that they've come down into that hairpin, and Enzo hasn't been quite close enough to get alongside Papan with the straight line advantage that the roof has over the Z4. So, yeah, at the moment it's still Papan in 3rd place. He goes a little bit wide there, Enzo creeping up over the curb on the inside, having a little bit of a look, but Papan shuts the door.
Yep. In terms of the live standings right now, let's try to sort of figure out how this will put things. So obviously Mangager leading the championship by 3 points going into this race. He's now on course to extend that gap over Charf by 4 further points. You know, 3 extra for the position and 1 for the pole position. So he'll be 7 points at the top if it stays like this over Charf. And then Enzo is in 3rd in the championship right now, and Papan, of course, being just 1 position ahead of him. He will close the gap slightly, but obviously not enough to close 15 points. But yeah, it'll be 12 points between them instead then. And Papan will jump ahead of Suomi, who is not scoring after his early exit. Claessens was in 6th before this, on equal points with Enzo, and only 1 point ahead of Jeff. So Jeff will jump both Claessens and Nismo, who are not scoring after dropping out. So yeah, Jeff's gonna have a nice little jump there. Hideaki as well, probably gonna go up to 7th. And then there's a big gap down to Branderous in 10th. So I don't think, yeah, that's basically how the movements in the top 9 will be shaken out, if it stays like this.
Yeah,
there you go.
That'll be
live calculations, since we have time for it. Since it's not really too much happening in this race, it must be said. Quite unfortunate that most of the cars are relatively spread out. Of course, it hasn't helped that quite a few cars have crashed out, but it is this one battle that we really just have to stick with it and occasionally pick up when some of the other guys do something crazy. But yeah, I did predict last week. Of course, last week at Road America, we had one of the craziest races for a while, with lots of action, lots of battling. As I saw a car on the grass back there, did I?
I saw that too. Who boots that?
That's someone in lap down, unfortunately. I'll say unfortunately just because that means we're probably not going to have any sort of position changes.
Lux Mick.
Yeah. So.
One thing I will say though is keep an eye out in the background of your picture with this battle between Papand and Enzo, and the set of headlights that you'll see behind is Mikau. He is catching these guys in their battle. He took about 8-9 tenths out of Enzo on 2 laps ago. This previous lap he's taken like another 2 tenths, so it's not massive, but you can see him, he's there in the background and he's closing up slowly onto these guys.
That's very interesting. Mikhail has been running a very solid race, to be honest. Just sort of a very lonely race from quite an early point on. At the start of the race, he was at the front of a very, very large train, but since managing to pull away from that, he's been running solidly, and is on course for his first top 10 position. Definitely his best finish so far this season was last week when he finished 11th. Mikhail having a very strong race for him, and yeah, it would be cool to see him join in on this battle. But he's only got 10 laps to try and close the gap, of course. Let's see how much he's taken out of them on this occasion. Yeah, he's taken another 7/10 out of both of them, actually. So you never know, Yorkie. He could be close to them by the end of the race.
Yep, definitely, especially if these two guys keep battling. I don't know what either of the two could do, apart from obviously Papan picking up his pace a little bit, but there's no real reason for him to... Yeah, there's no real reason for him to do so, though, at the moment. He's holding Enzo off. He's got the straight line advantage. There isn't any real need to risk trying to push too much harder, other than obviously to try and do what he needs to do, keep Enzo behind him, because Chaff has now disappeared so far ahead that there's no real chance for Papan to get second. So I imagine in Papan's mind he's settled for third, and Enzo has dropped off the back of Papan a little bit through that chicane.
Yep. Actually, I just realized that Bransky did the calculations for me for the championship, so that I didn't actually have to do so, but I did it anyway because I didn't see it. But that's how it is. So yeah, I'll keep that. I'll keep that. Thank you for that, Bransky. I'll keep that picture open for the end of the race in case it stays like this. And even if it doesn't, then it surely will be close to what you put there. So that's good. And Papan has he pulled away slightly there?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right.
Enzo dropped back in the chicane a little bit. Both of them ran wide.
Completely missed
coming out the exit of turn 1. Let's see if I can go digging for any other people. Jeff is there. Hideaki is there. Rangerus is there. Gibbs is there.
This is very in-depth commentary.
I was just thinking it as I was saying. I was like, this does not help the stream whatsoever. Saying they're there. If Thorian's in the pits, I can be accurate about.
Oh, so he's there.
Just picked him up. Yeah. He's there or there.
Oh, look, there's Chav. He's there in the chicane. Oh, and he's coming up to Jim Baum. But yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
Is there anyone else who's there?
No, everyone else is kind of
Aren't
there
they,
or there.
they're not there.
They are there. It's just
they're just
spread out.
Okay.
So
they're there, but they're not right there.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Oh. Should we try to say something that people will not be thinking we're idiots for? Oh, Gator laps the car. That's Tharion again. Second time he's been lapped. He looked like he came out of the pits there. Tharion might have had some kind of issue again. But still, of course, for some decent points. That's what you get for finishing the race in a race like this, where finishing is challenging, basically, more so than usual.
believe it or not, I did actually say Hitharion was in the pit in and amongst all of theirs. I think you're just so caught up in
I did
the moment
see
there
you say that.
it. You saw me say it. You heard me say it.
Oh, did I? Oh, okay.
You should have heard me say it. But yeah, the guys are still there, battling away for third position. I think this is basically the only battle really to watch, and obviously Macau closing up behind him. What was his lap time? On the previous lap, it was 4 tenths slower than Enzo's was, but a tenth quicker, actually half a tenth quicker than Papan. So it's not really come down in the last lap, but 7 laps to go. It'll be interesting to see as Papan again looks to be slow through that chicane. It could just be that camera angle. That's the only thing. I think if he's taken a slightly different line and the camera angle makes it look funny, it therefore makes it look like Enzo is so much quicker. Although that time going through, both of them climbed up the rather large sausage curb on the inside, as Papan looked to be trying to save the car a little bit.
Indeed. Big fan of sausage curbs when they don't throw me into the walls. At least those that stop people from corner cutting, I do appreciate those. But oh, is he gonna go for it? He's gonna go for it after looking at the back for so long and a slight wheel banging there, or door banging. And is he gonna be able to get ahead? Oh, Papan has got a better momentum. Man, that was an opportunistic move. I guess that was the moment the patience ran out, Yorkie. He just went for it out of nowhere.
Yep, I think Enzo recognised that as well, and has obviously let Papan go back in front. But yeah, pretty much spot on. I think Enzo has gotten a little bit fed up with staring at the back of the roof in front of him, and was wanting to try and make an opportunity work at some point along the line. Hoped that Papan was napping a little bit, and decided to send a little bit of a dive bomb up the inside. Obviously there was contact, but for the moment Enzo is still behind. But that would have frustrated Papan a little bit, but it also would have put him on high alert to the fact that now Enzo is desperate to get past.
If Papan was maybe losing focus a little bit, that is definitely just walking him right up again. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I didn't see that coming. And to be fair to Enzo, it nearly worked out. It was a very ambitious move, of course, but there wasn't that much of a contact. It didn't really affect the cars too much, but yeah, I guess it's only fair that he stays behind when there was contact. But yeah, he's getting closer, I guess we can say. And again on the same place, he's getting very, very close. Is he going to have a similar attempt now? No, I think he has realized that Papan probably would have expected it if he had tried it again that soon after. But did carry more speed through the corner. But again, the braking zone for turn 1 isn't really one where you can be too brave on the brakes, because you're not on the brakes for particularly long. Papan slightly wider on the exit there. We've only got 6 laps remaining now in the race. These guys still battling intensely for that 3rd place position. Both looking for their 2nd podium of the season. One of them only can get it, and ends up looking in the mirrors on the inside of the fast left-hander, going into the hairpin, and Papan is forced defensive again, but he brakes later and has him covered. Yorkie, it's I don't know what to say anymore. It's just he's gonna have to take something special, I guess it's fair to say by this point, for Enzo to get past, considering how long he's been unable to do it.
Yeah, it's the intensity is starting to wrap up between these two guys, and it's going to be an interesting last 5.5 laps, and Macau is closing up behind them as well, so this is working very nicely into his hands. If these guys keep going at it, as Enzo gets very, very close.
Get a break mid-corner there to not hit it.
Yeah, the liner he just opened up that corner and was able to carry the speed through, whereas Papan was still kind of tiptoeing his way through the corner. So I think Enzo's got the much better tyres and is probably sensing that over
could come into effect at this point.
Yep, and is now actually wanting to do something about it again, coming into corner where they had the slight tap 2 laps ago. Both of them very neat and tidy through that time. And it seems like Enzo does get a decent drive coming out the corners. It's just when it actually comes down to the straights, he starts to slip back because of the straight line advantage of the Z4. Of the Z4, of the roof.
Oh!
In front of
Oh,
him,
is he going to
near
stick his
enough
nose
on
up the inside?
sides.
No, he isn't. I'm quite surprised that it didn't try to remain on the inside there for the corner. It's not a particularly easy corner in these conditions, especially to go side by side there, but it's such a fast one. He'd probably end up understeering into Papan, to be fair, if he tried it, but yeah, he almost had half his car alongside there. They could have tried something, but decided that the safest thing to do was to back out. Of course, if these guys were to have an incident now, they'd both lose out on the third place position, because Mikhail is sitting right there and definitely is closing now up to these guys. He's much closer through that chicane than he was a couple of laps ago. On the previous lap, he was not that much faster actually, but I think on this lap he's closed a tiny bit. It's Mikhail, and these guys can't afford to have any noticeable incident, because then Mikhail would be right with him, and we'd have, well, they'd have even more to worry about than just the two of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's that risk versus reward balance, that factor, and at the moment the risk is ever increasing with, as you say, Michael behind him. He is pretty much in a prime spot to take full advantage of these two guys if they do have it coming together, and they have to slow down for whatever reason. Between the contact, Brownski pointing out that Gibbs has dropped down behind Jim
I
Baum,
just looked on that.
down into 10th place.
He's very close behind him as well.
Is he? Yes, he is.
Right behind him. And
Yep.
Jim Baum's car not looking in the best shape either.
Gibbs having a little bit of a look, maybe, to see if he can try and slot himself back up into 9th place. Coming into the hairpin, closing under braking. I'm now torn between which battle we should watch, whether it's these two guys or
you can
battle
watch
for third.
Gibbs' battle for a bit, and I'll keep an eye on the third place, because I think and Enzo's gone for it, and there's contact. They're both slightly off the track. Is Mikhail going to be able to take advantage? Just make Papan spins off to the inside. Mikhail is through up to 4th place. That was the incident we were talking about, that they really couldn't afford. Enzo has gotten away with it when it's carrying on. I am unsure really who to put that on. I mean, it looked like it was Enzo who went for an slightly ambitious move up the inside again. I can't really remember, to be honest, exactly how far up the inside he was before the braking zone. But yeah, he's moved up the inside. Might have just caught Papan off the guard a little bit again, unless he just braked too late, and that was the reason they got pushed wide. Either way, though, Enzo has decided for himself that he was fine with that move, and he's staying on in 3rd position. Mikhail up to 4th, right behind him now, and Papan probably majorly frustrated with that, having held on well for so long, and then to have that happen, that is game over as far as his podium position is concerned.
Yeah, jump back to that just in time to see it as well. I think for the moment, from what I saw, I'm going to point the blame at Enzo for that. It looked like the contact came from his end more than Papan's.
It didn't look like there was too much of a gap on the inside, really.
No, Enzo was clearly alongside, but I don't know if he was alongside coming into the actual braking zone or whether he got alongside by braking later and running deeper. But there was quite clear contact that pushed both guys out quite far wide as well. And yeah, like you said, Mikhail prime position to take full advantage of that. Obviously,
he's not taking
Enzo,
full advantage just yet. He's taking half advantage at the moment.
Yeah, Enzo, if he wants to be avoiding a penalty, I'm sure Papan is probably going to be going to the stewards with this afterwards. Enzo probably should concede the position back to Papan. Obviously, he's running out of time to do it. Yeah, but of course it's going to cost him the 3rd place and give that to Mikhail. The whole risk versus reward, you go for that maneuver, if it doesn't pay off, the risk could be huge. In this case, losing a position and gifting it to someone else.
Yeah. So Enzo in 3rd right now, but yeah, of course, it remains to be seen then if Papan will be taking this to the stewards panel. As usual in AOR leagues, we're leaving it up to the drivers themselves, really, if they feel the need to report something that happened in the race to them. And if I was Papan in that car right now, I'd probably be thinking, about doing that, and if that does happen, of course, and so is deemed to be at fault, then suddenly Mikhail would be up in that third place position. So he's done very well to get himself into that position to take advantage potentially of that. So far he's gained one position as a result, and Papan doesn't really have an answer. It already looked like his tires were basically falling off, and Enzo now having yeah, much better pace on the previous lap, second and a half faster than Papan on the previous lap. I mean, that probably doesn't tell the whole story, because Papan was slower on that lap than he's been when he was ahead of Enzo, but it just shows sort of the pace difference and how far difficult it's been for him to get past, because despite that pace difference, he had to resort to a very aggressive move to get a position.
Yeah, jump back to the battle between Gibbs and Jim Bound. That's also still going on for ninth position in these final few laps. The one that we jumped away from just in time to see that contact for the battle for third position. Gibbs getting so close up to the back of Jim's car into that right-hander there. Didn't look like there was contact between those two, but it certainly looked to be very, very close. And Gibbs is certainly trying to pressurise Jim in front of him to try and get past. Yeah, barely much between those two cars as they come off the final corner. And then down to start their final lap. Yeah, Jim is on the inside, giving Gibbs a little bit of a squeeze. Gibbs trying to hang it around the outside, tucks in just underneath the rear wing. Now switching to the inside for this next turn too. He's got the inside for that almost alongside. Backs out of it.
He didn't dare. It's such
yeah, but he's near enough pushing Jim through the corner. He's right up underneath the rear wing. That's actually going to cost him momentum from that as well, as I think he had to fight the car a little bit to try and keep it under control, and has gone and dropped back a couple of car lengths. That may have potentially ruined his real chance to try and get past Jim at some point, despite looking so very, very close to take that ninth position.
Yeah. I'm just going to point out that Mangator only has a few corners to go in this race before he is crowned the winner for the second time this season, and it will extend that championship lead to 7 points over Charf, currently on course for finishing second. And here we go, Mangator across the line for his second win in the season, takes the win here in the wet at Oulton Park. Very impressive drive. Charf is going to come home shortly to get second, and then Enzo, as it stands, will be getting third position ahead of Mikhail in fourth, Papan in fifth, and then Jeff comes next in sixth, Hideaki seventh, Jim Baum in eighth, still ahead of Gibbs. This is the one, I guess, to watch until the end of the race. It's gonna have one corner really for Gibbs to do it, and Jim Baum is forced defensive here into the final corner. Gibbs gonna have to brake late and be really brave around the outside. Slight door banging there, and Gibbs is on the ground, and there's still gonna be side by side. They're a very equal exit of the corner. It's gonna be a photo finish, and Gibbs is just behind him as Jim Baum basically loses the car across the line. And what a finish that was!
Yeah, that was very close. It looked like Gibbs was lighting up the tyres as they came over the crest to try and get alongside. Two of them very, very close and putting an awful lot of trust in each other. Very, very good defensive driving by Jim Baum there. I believe he managed to pop himself just about ahead of Gibbs. So very good defensive drive in those last few minutes. And I think the order that you were calling out is the order that they have finished in beforehand.
Actually,
yes.
Brandress just went up to 8th. So
that's where he was, I believe. Yeah, because Hideaki and Jeff were between him and Papan. Papan obviously in 5th.
I think the order we're looking at the moment is the correct one.
Yes.
So, obviously, pending any potential suit inquiries, Papan might be thinking about one on Enzo, potentially, and although I think, in terms of the guys who crashed out earlier in the race, I think that was basically all mistakes from themselves, as far as I can remember. I can't really remember any major,
contacts between drivers.
Contacts, at the start.
No, I think it was near enough mistakes that I could see from, as you say, the cells. I'm trying to remember what was said in the chat, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, and a streak that Brownski has been mentioning. I think he was on about something along the lines of we had 7 different race winners in the last 7 races or so, but that will have stopped now with Mangator getting the second win for him in the last 3 races. As we have 2 cars basically mating, going into the pit lane. It's always fun. And yeah, Mikael is
in his garage.
parking. Yep. Well, now he is. For me, I'm gonna agree with Brownski on that. I'd say Mikael is gonna be my driver of the day because of where he's not been in the top 10 all season. He showed incredible pace here, especially towards the end, to catch up to both Papan and Enzo, and partly take advantage of what happened with them, and get all the way up to 4th in the end. So yeah, very, very impressive for him.
Yeah, he had a pretty good start as well to the race. Obviously defended his position, managed to hold on to that well. So I will agree with both you and also Brownski with that too.
Good. Right. So let's have a couple of driver interviews then, as we tend to do. I guess maybe, well, I guess we should get Mikael in, maybe, considering he was driver of the day, apparently. We have never heard from Mangator. I'm going to quickly message him.
If he is there.
Because he tends to leave Team Speak quite quite soon after the races. The Frenchman, you know, you don't know how comfortable these guys are, you know, to be interviewed, of course, and it's fair enough if they choose not to be, of course. I think first, do we dare hear from Papan right now?
No. I'm going to say no. I don't want to I don't want to like sway his influence as to whether he's going to put in a steward's inquiry or not. It's meant to be entirely down to the drivers as to whether they feel they're hard done by and
what about
want
Enzo,
to submit that answer. Nope. As interesting as
you want to avoid the drama, is that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Mangator just informed me that he doesn't have a mic, apparently, so that's quite unfortunate. Which I assume is why we haven't heard from him in the first 3 races, and again we'll not be hearing from him today. But then, who do we want to hear from? Yes, let's go for Mikael then, because
yeah, let's go with Mikael.
had a very good result.
Ciao.
Go for it.
User was moved to your channel.
Hello, Mikael.
Yeah.
Hello.
How are you after that incredible drive?
I'm sweating, guys. I can swear this was really a tough race.
I bet you had a pretty good start. You were in 6th position, I believe, for quite a while and holding
you qualified
off
7th,
quite
didn't
a few
you? But
cars.
you got 6th because of Suomi, of course, pulling off.
To be honest, I can barely hear you guys because someone is crashing in the pits.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, you're still on track.
Okay, now
Leave the
it
session
should be
real quick.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, yeah, you had a pretty good start. Obviously, you gained 1 position from Suomi pulling out, but you had a train of cars behind you. You managed to hold them all back, and then you started to pull out and basically just run your own race, and then you kind of, yeah, you found yourself potentially with a 3rd place. You got 4th in the end, which is obviously your best result that you've had so far in AOR. But walk us through like how that race was from you, apart from sweaty.
I mean, the start was alright, and then I could see the train behind me that forced Gibbs. I was just expecting when they started closing on me. It didn't happen. And I suddenly was able to pull out, and after that, as you said, it was quite quiet race. I was just focusing lap by lap, take it easy, and in the end, I was really surprised. I was able to catch up the front guys.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm impressed. can't say really how much I'm happy right now.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the consistency that you showed, especially when you were catching up to the guys battling for third. I don't know if did you have a proper view of what happened to those two in the incident they had?
Well, I was like 3-4 seconds behind those.
So you probably just saw the end of it.
Yeah, with Papant just in front of me, I was just able to avoid him with real luck. And then I think the Z4 in front was thinking the Papant because he was not waiting anymore. Papant, I don't know, maybe ended up with some damage because he wasn't able to close up on me.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there's too much more to say. It's your best result in the Elite League, as far as I'm aware. You've of course had some very good results in the Pro
You're
League.
absolutely right, yeah.
But yeah, very impressive results for you today. Do you think there's any chance of keeping that up in the coming races?
To be honest, I don't think so. It's a very tough competition. Not really have much time to practice like back days in Pro League. But I enjoy it. I take race by race. It's for fun. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, man. You definitely had the pace of you today, so good job on that. And yeah, hopefully you'll have another good one in Imola next week.
And thanks. Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right,
Have
see
a
you,
good
man.
night. Yeah.
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
User was moved out of your channel.
Cool. Yeah, he was definitely happy, which is understandable.
Aye.
Really good job from Mikhail. So Enzo and Papan are still sitting there, Yoki. I mean, it's something, but I don't know. All the other guys sitting there right now didn't really have that interesting races, though. I don't know if there is anyone else we really could pick here to have a proper interview with. It's your call, Yoki.
Don't pull it on me. I was going to say it's your stream. You can. You can decide.
Ah,
But,
God. I was going to say, well, let's ask a chat, but they're definitely going to say that they want to hear from them.
yeah. Well, the issue is if we interview one, the other person's going to be asking what did they say.
Yeah.
And they could potentially be talking it out now anyway, and discussing what happened. But I don't know. It's the drama.
There wasn't too much on track action though. We need some drama, don't we? Do we need drama? Usually not a big fan of drama, but
No, neither am I. I think we should.
a very intense debate going in my head right now.
Yeah, it must be absolutely riveting for the stream just hearing us like and ah over whether we should do it or not. I'm thinking I'm thinking that we're overthinking it too much and that we probably shouldn't, and try not to
The other part.
weigh anything. Yeah, let's be professional about this.
Okay, we're gonna go the professional route, guys. So
We'll give you an update next week,
Yeah.
like we did when Papan ran out of fuel.
Oh,
Taquito.
Oh, it's always Papan involved these weird things. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Hopefully they are talking it out, and we will see if any huge inquiries will be made regarding that incident that led to Enzo getting third, Papan dropping to fifth with Mikhail between them. That was sort of the only major drama in the race. Apart from that, he was mostly clean in terms of battles, but then again, there weren't too many battles after the first few laps. So yeah, it went against my prediction really. I was expecting lots of craziness in the wet weather around here, but it was actually a much less crazy race than in Road America in the dry. But yeah, okay, next week we have Imola then, back in the dry there, I believe. Yeah, we have a dry race at Imola, where of course it was wet last time we were there, but what do you think? Do you think more action is going to be kicked up around the...
That should be good. It's a pretty good track for overtaking and battling, so I'll be looking forward to that one. Obviously quite a long, big long start-finish straight, so cars can stretch their legs there. Corners suit the Z4 reasonably well with the change of direction, so it'll be a little bit of an interesting unknown one with how well the Genettas and stuff like that run there. It'll be interesting. I look forward to it.
Indeed, and hopefully Kaki will finally decide to be racing again. We can hope.
Yes.
That would be good to see what he can do against the likes of Mangator and Charf, and of course hopefully Suomi as well will complete more than 2 yards in the race, unlike the last 2 times. So I think that wraps it up from this race at Oulton Park. We are at the halfway point of the season. There's going to be one more race before we have a 1-week Christmas break before the final 3 races. So next time, as mentioned, is the race at Imola. And yeah, that'll be at the same time again, Wednesday night, 8 PM UK time. Hope you have enjoyed the race here today, and we'll see you then, Yorkie.
Yes.
And we'll see
They
you
look
then,
forward to
everyone
it.
else.
Thank you very much for tuning in, guys.
Yep, hopefully it'll be a good one next week, and we'll see you in Imola. Goodbye!
Yes, goodbye.